What's up, guys? Blade Master here, bringing you yet another Age of Vikings massive battle 1v1 fought in the map of Lincoln between me, and I've taken the Kingdom of Brittany, as you can see here, and Mordred, who's taken the Byzantine Empire. Now, I want to start this cast by talking a little bit in depth about the Byzantine Empire. They are, for those of you who are interested, one of the most powerful factions in the Age of Vikings mod, for sure. I would even hazard a guess that they are the most powerful faction, but I don't know enough. I haven't played enough of the mod to say that for sure. What I can say is that they have an incredibly fearsome roster, and I'll tell you why. So, one of the biggest strong points of the Byzantine Empire is their access to huge amounts of really strong cavalry. They also even have the Cataphractii horse archers over here, as you can see, who have great armor, and they don't have Parthian shot, which goes against them, but they do have fire whilst moving. So they can be quite a nuisance, quite a heavily armored nuisance against enemy cavalry, if you can just put them behind your strong melee cavalry options, which unfortunately haven't been brought here by Mordred. They do have Byzantine Empire has access to Tagmata cavalry. They've got access to powerful shock cavalry as well. And I'm with the Kingdom of Brittany. You know what? Let me put this a little bit in slow motion first before going more in depth about the Byzantine Empire. So they have access to shock cavalry, 30 bonus versus large melee cavalry. So there's a lot of things that's going on for them in the cavalry front, but that's not all. They even have access to excellent spearmen. The Skutatois spearmen are really, really strong. And a general trait about this faction is that they have access to units that have incredibly high missile block chance, which is not something that you see very often in the Age of Vikings mod. As you can see, two of the other Cataphractii horse archers firing against my skirmisher cavalry, who's pushing them back. The Skutatois spearmen, as you can see here, who are kept in the forest to present a sneaky ambush to my troops, are very, very powerful because they have a 60 bonus versus 60 missile block chance, decent charge bonus. Their melee attack isn't the highest if you compare them against my Armorican spearmen, which are the same cost as the Skutatois spearmen, but have slightly higher melee attack. The Skutatois spearmen lack a little bit on that front, but they make up for it with their higher armor, much higher armor, I believe. And high missile block chance. 46 armor versus, let's see here, versus, well actually the armor is basically the same, but they have something which is much better. Yeah, the melee defense is better, which improves their staying power a little bit. So Mordred over here has brought a lot of Skutatois spearmen, and he's going to use these guys kind of as to offset, basically as an offset for his lack of melee cavalry and shock cavalry here, and he's just going to pull his Cataphractii horse archers behind them and then fire from a safe distance under the protection of his heavily armored spearmen with their great shields. Another good thing about the Byzantine Empire is that they have access to Skutatois axemen, who are expensive, but they are very powerful too. Look at that melee attack. And they have a 40 melee damage, which is strange. I don't know what sort of axes these are. Definitely not the standard axes. And they don't have high armor penetrating values, which is very strange. But nonetheless, they are very strong. I mean, they've got high charge bonus as well, and all in all, their melee stats are quite good. Another great thing about the Byzantine Empire is their access to very strong elite infantry. Again, something that's not been brought here, but the mid-tier infantry of the Skutatois is also very good. As you can see, again, 60 missile block chance when they pop. Once he pops them into shield wall, it goes all the way up to 85. So they're basically impenetrable when it comes to javelins or missiles. Britany, on the other hand, is definitely not a faction that you would want to use against the Byzantine Empire. Armored archers here also just proving the Byzantine strength when it comes to anti-archers and anti-arrows capability. The skirmisher cavalry here pushed back by more and more of these armored archers who are pouring in flaming shot. Luckily, the light mass of the skirmisher cavalry means that they're quick enough to run away from them. I've got some archers, some crappy archers. These are just the regular kind of archers. Pushing up on either side. I don't have any archers in the main line. I'm going to make up for that by with a lot of javelins. And archers here are going to pepper these Cataphractii horse archers, try to push them back while they take some damage from the armored archers and waste some of the more expensive armored archers as ammo, while they hide in the safety of the woods where the trees are going to provide them some cover from the arrows. Besides that, the Byzantines and Mordred specifically has got a lot of Juvenes, which are decent enough low tier infantry with access to shield wall and great missile block chance when popped into shield wall, of course. And they have otherwise very good stats. I mean, 42 melee attack and 40 melee damage for a unit like this. The only big weakness of them is their armor, which means that they don't have any good staying power. Now, while the Skutatois spearmen move behind, I'm going to pour in some cheeky flaming shot and heavy shot here and get some decent kills, some decent damage against these heavily armored spearmen. Besides that, actually before I go over the Britany build, you can see the Cataphractii horse archers are already moving around here, and I should set some of my cavalry to attack them. Speaking of cavalry, Brittany's greatest strength lies in their cavalry. These guys are one of the most, or actually the most unique unit that's there in Age of Vikings when you talk about javelin cavalry. Armorican Knights, they have brilliant stats. 39 melee attack isn't the greatest, but combine that with a great melee damage and they will be a fearsome unit in melee. But they do have 3 volleys of very, very powerful javelins. As you can see, these have a 30 bonus versus cavalry and 30 bonus versus elephants, 100 missile damage, so they are sure to wreck anything that's mounted. Unfortunately, there aren't too many targets that are mounted here, besides the Ducks Guard, which are a very fearsome cavalry general unit. And you can see here my swordsmen are attacking the Skutatois spearmen, but I didn't pop them into shield wall, and they're fighting up against a unit that has extremely high missile block chance and melee defense when they're popped into phalanx. And the swordsmen basically destroyed. They're cheap units and they're not going to stand up to the Skutatois spearmen. Now, my main line is composed of a mixture of javelins and of very strong swordsmen. The javelins are going to form up initially, and they're going to start trading volleys, or actually they're just going to start fighting against the very weak front line of Juvenes. I'm going to take unnecessary damage here from the armored archers in the meanwhile. But now I'm going to pull in all of my Armorican Royal Swordsmen, and these are units that, while they usually wouldn't be able to match up to the Byzantines' strongest, they are more than capable to at taking on the Juvenes and the Skutatois combination in the main line. Now I'm going to use a Levy Spearman. I wanted to attack the armored archers. They pulled back, and smartly Mordred just made sure that I used my Levy Spearman to attack his Juvenes, and the Levy Spearmen are basically dead. So it's all up to my Armorican Knights and my Armorican Cavalry is what they're called, I believe. Armorican Cavalry, there we go. Both very, very strong units, and they are heavy skirmisher cavalry. So if you can punch a hole with them and just charge into crappy units like the Juvenes, then they will make sure that they're paid off. Now, it's going to be a clash of, it's going to be a very similar or very common theme that we see in Age of Charlemagne. The Armorican Royal Swordsmen in shield wall, just a breathtaking number of units, going to move up in a strong combined attack against the more, the actually crappy units of the Byzantines, crappy melee units of the Byzantines. But as you can see here, some Armorican Knights as well going to charge in, and they're going to pummel through my own Armorican swordsmen, but they're eventually going to crash into Juvenes and then just destroy them off the charge. Juvenes got clawbird there, and I'm going to actually make sure that my Armorican Royal Swordsmen first kill off the Levy Spearmen before moving in with the rest of my cavalry. But as you can see here, Skutatois Axemen are just destroying my Levy Spearmen. I've pulled back the rest of my right flank because I don't want to take that engagement right now. I want to make sure my stronger sword line first clobbers through the Levy Spearmen, then starts attacking the Juvenes, and then finally tries to destroy the Skutatois. As you can see here, this Armorican Knights is going to help make things much easier for me on that front. They destroyed the first Juvenes, got 166 kills, then charged into another Juvenes and charged into some armored archers as well, and got some cheeky kills on the Skutatois axemen as well. Now the Skutatois spearmen are going to get rears charged by Armorican Royal Swordsmen, but the armored archers are going to make their presence felt. Already 124 kills and getting great shots onto the rear of the Armorican Royal Swordsmen. So beautifully done there by Mordred. My Armorican Knights though, helping even things out for sure. They have just slaughtered like 3 units just by themselves. And the Armorican Royal Swordsmen helping clear out this Skutatois axemen. And then they're going to come in for a rear charge against braced Skutatois, but then it's going to be a very deadly combination of a rear charge from strong cavalry mixed in with much better sword infantry, which means that this Skutatois is also going to be destroyed. Still lots for me to destroy though. The Armorican Royal Swordsmen killed off that Levy Spearman, and now they're going to face up against Juvenes, which is another fight that they will most likely win. My Armorican Knights though now dropping quickly against the Levy Spearmen, and on my left flank, not doing very well here. My Armorican Cavalry lost a lot of men to Skutatois Spearmen. My regular Spearmen are going to try and kill off some of the Cataphracti Horse Archers in the meanwhile. But these armored archers are proving to be incredibly pesky, and there's no real, counter for that from my side. The Armorican Knights, though, now dropping to half strength, but they've killed off like 4 units by themselves. The armored archers getting a lot of kills from the safety of the woods. Now I'm forced to pull back the Armorican Knights, and here Skirmisher Cavalry going to charge into Skutatois axemen, and then I'm going to charge in with armored swordsmen against the Skutatois axemen. But lots of flaming shot going on from the Cataphracti Horse Archers and from the side from the armored archers, and it's just a brilliant play from Mordred. He knows that he has the advantage in skirmish troops, and from the sides he's just slaughtering a lot of my cavalry and a lot of my armored swordsmen as well. They're going to take a lot of damage in extended periods of time. The Royal Swordsmen have done decently enough, but not enough. They've done okay, but I mean, I need them to do exceptionally well if I want to win this battle. The Royal Swordsmen here are going to attack the Juvenes, but on the flanks, the Skutatois Spearmen are proving to be quite a handful. This Armorican Royal Swordsman is losing to Skutatois Axemen very easily, especially with the attack against infantry from shield wall Skutatois axemen. Not too much that the Armorican Royal Swordsman can really do, and then this great charge of 35. Actually, it wasn't really even a charge. So this is going to be a full strength Skutatois axeman against a depleted Armorican Royal Swordsman. That's not something that I'm going to be able to win. So now on the left flank, my Armorican Knights losing to Skutatois axemen, this spearmen. This is a very poor use of my cavalry. You need to be on top of your micro when you're using units like this, because you can't just charge them into spears. Not making use of my increased maneuverability here. My Armorican Knights here have done really well with this one unit, but they're taking a lot of fire from armored archers, and those guys have already gotten a single XP chevron. The armored swordsman here clutching through some quite a bit of gang banging from a spear unit and an axe unit, and now finally they're going to get help from, I believe, Armorican Royal Swordsman, which means that spearman is basically destroyed, and then the Skutatois axeman is not going to be doing too well. One volley depleted from this Armorican Knights here. They're fighting into Skutatois axemen. That's not going to be their main role here. The main role is going to be just charging into the rear and stuff like that. And here this Armorican spearman should make short work of the Skutatois spearman and the armored archer. But I don't have many units of swords left. This Armorican Knights is finally, after 372 kills, they are finally going to drop to Skutatois, I believe. 381 kills. Do not underestimate the power of high melee damage. This Velevi skirmisher getting a clutch volley off of on Cataphracti Horse Archers who've again done really well, and the fact that he's brought so many more skirmishers and paired them in with high missile block infantry meant that not only did he have excellent meat shields so he would always win in a skirmish fight, but it also meant that if I just chose not to start firing into skirmishers, they can do what they're doing here, and that is get very, very clutch shots onto the sides of my much more superior infantry, and thus even the odds Sorry, and thus even the odds basically in terms of the mainline engagement. I have one swordsman here left, and I've got a bunch of depleted javelins and a couple of Armorican swordsmen, but I've lost a lot of my units. Now the skirmisher cavalry should be able to dispatch the rest of these Skutatois swordsmen, Skutatois and Juvenes, and then this Armorican Royal swordsman should make short work of the Skutatois spearmen there, but I should put them in shield wall. But they are going to still, I think, clutch out this victory. But let's see. I mean, they're going to get slaughtered if they get rear charged by one of those Cataphracta horse archers. But there's just so much more of the Byzantines left. I do have one Armorican cavalry left, and my guard cavalry, which is also a very fearsome unit, with 30 bonus versus large and decent charge bonus. His Dux guard hasn't done much, and they don't really have to do much. He's got a firm upper hand in this battle so far. I do have an Armorican Knights at full strength though, which is going to be a very tricky unit for Mordred to counter against. And the Skirmisher Cavalry, these Cataphracta horse archers are in range, so the Skirmisher Cavalry should be pouring in some fire and killing off a couple of them at least, but it doesn't look like they're really willing to throw their javelins. Maybe they're just tired, their arms need a rest. And now there's like two more armored archers left who haven't really fired much, and these armored archers have been a pain in the ass, and they've done really well for Mordred. An Armorican cavalry is left, my general, and I believe an Armorican Knights at full strength. So I have 3 cavalry units left. He's got most of his cavalry left at this point. He's got 2 full strength Cataphracta horse archers, and but there's not much for them to do. It just depends on if I can use my cavalry units well, which is going to be easier said than done, considering that he has 4 very fearsome spearmen left who will just destroy my cavalry at a moment's notice. This is going to be a good use of my cavalry though. My Armorican Knights going to charge into unbraced Skutatois axemen, kill them off. Skutatois axemen have done really well, but now they're going to be destroyed by the Armorican Knights, and the Juven is also going to lose. But then the Knights are taking damage from the armored archers and of course the Cataphracta horse archers, which is why I said that that the fact that they don't have Parthian shot is not the worst thing in the world, especially when you use them like Mordred has done. Very smartly done here, making sure that he presents like these nice little targets for my Armorican Knights to charge into, and then just use them to kind of a very similar strategy to what I did against Indie Pride in the last battle. But you can see the Knights have just gotten clobbered here. They lost like 40 units there. And then the Skirmisher Cavalry, too little too late. They're finally going to catch some of these Cataphracta horse archers, and they're going to fire some of their javelins, but it's not going to be enough. Swordsmen here in thick formation, in shield wall, going to charge up against some Skutatois axemen, I believe, or just Skutatois, and Juvenes and Skutatois spearmen here. It's going to be an uphill disciplined walk charge, and it's not going to bode well for them. The Armorican cavalry has done decently, got a good charge on Skutatois, and the Skirmisher Cavalry, I believe these are Armorican Knights, are going to charge into Cataphracta horse archers and armored archers, and just try and hold them down, get a couple of kills before they eventually die, while I come in with another Armorican Knights and then try and finish off this battle. Now this, I believe, is another clutch engagement. He's going to bring his Dux Guard here, and I've got my general unit, I forget what they're called, the Guard Cavalry here, and he's going to immediately pull them back, which means that I'm going to get stuck into this battle. And I was chasing after his Dux Guard, and it's a really smart use of his general here, because he's going to bring Juvenes, and he's going to bring a lot more of his spear support here, while my general can't really move around. So that was a very smart use of his cavalry. He's going to move away his Dux Guard to safety. My Guard Cavalry, meanwhile, is going to get caught by Juvenes, and that means the Juvenes are going to have a field day. My Armorican Knights as well can't really move around. They're still engaged against Cataphracta horse archers, and the high armor and great melee defense of these guys is going to come into play here, which means that they're not going to take too much damage, and they're going to take a long time to die. They won't win that engagement, but they'll take a long time before the Armorican Knights can cleave through and then try and attack the Dux Guard. Or the Duke's Guard, I don't know how it's pronounced. I think Duke's Guard is probably the smarter pronunciation. I do have one Skirmisher Cavalry back there and full strength levy skirmisher here. But against the high missile block chance units of the Byzantines, there's not too much that my skirmishers can do unless they fire into the sides of Skutatois like this. Armorican spearmen losing a lot of men to Skutatois, but my archers are evening the odds, but so are his. Just brilliantly done here, getting great shots onto the sides and onto the rear of my units, and then making sure that he negates all of that 40% missile block chance of my units by just firing into their rear, poking them in the bum with arrows, and that's not something that my guys really like. The Kingdom of Brittany is losing desperately here, and the Juvenes have gotten a double XP chevron because I can't move my guard cavalry anywhere. My general has fallen, and there's not too much left in this battle for me, except to try and get some desperate rear charges on Juvenes and maybe some of these armored archers. I'm not even aiming for them. I think that was my biggest mistake here. I underestimated the archers, and Mordred made me pay for it. There was not too much that I could do to try and even get at the archers because they were posted behind the spearmen. And unless I just brought a massive spam of melee infantry, a lot of cheap melee infantry, popped them into shield wall and then used them to counter the spearmen, there was not much I could do. With my current army setup, really nothing I could do. Mordred had outpicked my faction from the start, and really well played to him. 1 minute and 20 seconds left in this battle, but there's not too much for me to say. The Byzantines have won a pretty clear victory here. A lot of Skutatois spearmen at full strength and some Juvenes still remaining. And his rather bold strategy of bringing a lot of cheapish sword infantry and a lot of good spears to help support them has really paid off. My Armorican spearmen at full strength here just been chilling and watching the battle, and now that they've seen that their general has died, there's not much for them to do except charge in. The final charge of the Armoricans against braced Skutatois spearmen. And this is a decent enough opportunity to look at whether bracing for a charge is going to be a better use of your spearmen than not. And it turns out it's not a good use to just keep them braced. He hasn't hopped a phalanx or whatever it's called, spear wall here, but the high charge bonus of my Armorican spearmen and combine that with the great melee defense that they have means that the expert charge defense of the braced spearmen isn't really going to make much of a difference. So bam, there we go, valiant defeat. One of my first few losses in Age of Vikings, and very well played to Mordred. You can see that his the swords unit, the swords that he got did pretty decently, especially some of his Skutatois axemen. But more than anything, it was his armored archers that really saved the day, along with his Cataphractoi horse archers. So you can't really underestimate skirmish units and archer units in this game. If you do that, you're most likely going to lose. So fun game, and you can see a lot of his spearmen managed to basically be unharmed at the end of the day. And the fact that I didn't bring enough sword units, I think, probably plays quite a role in that. And the fact that I wasted one of my Armorican Knights here, another one around here, and one of my Armorican Cavalry as well. Just didn't do much with them at all. So well played to Mordred. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle, and I'll see you most likely on June 6th. So yeah, stay tuned for those videos. Peace.